So this is what it means to be alpha with women over text, apparently. This guy says that he is super dominant and sexually experienced. Now there are already 20 things wrong with this, but the biggest one is that he thinks that masculinity means putting others down. He thinks it means shaming women into submission. And it means bragging about yourself and what an awesome guy that you are. And that is not masculinity, that is just posturing. Because a masculine man would always be calm and collected. And he wouldn't need to put others down to feel better about himself. And he wouldn't start shaming a woman just because she doesn't understand something. Or because she does not want to go along with what he wants. A guy like this is always starving for validation from other people. Because he would love to have a pat on the shoulder and that someone tells him you are a strong man. And you don't want to fall for that because you should never have to posture to show that you are a masculine guy. Learn to be grounded and never feel that you need the validation of others. Learn how to connect with other people and never feel the need to put women down so that you can feel better about yourself. And follow for proper dating tips. This gentleman tries to be alpha with women over text. He tells her that he is super dominant and sexually experienced. Now there are already 20 things wrong with this conversation and how this guy thinks, but the biggest one is that he thinks that masculinity means controlling other people. So he pressures her and blames her for everything. And when that does not work, he will rewrite the story so that he can protect his ego. When he doesn't get what he wants, all of a sudden he will pretend that he rejected her and that he was no longer interested. And that is not confidence, that is just so incredibly insecure. And of course that women always see through this act. Women will always laugh at guys like this because it's so obvious that he is hungry for validation. It is so obvious that he is trying to control her by shaming her. If you're a masculine man, then you don't need shaming tactics and you also don't need all of these control mechanisms. You would just lead her calmly and you would give off a warm and inviting energy that women would naturally want to follow. Now if you want to become that guy, then follow this page. Here this gentleman tries to be alpha with women over text. He tells her that he is super dominant and sexually experienced. And this guy is so busy with posturing that he is a masculine man that he doesn't even notice that she's not even investing in the conversation. He tries to shame women into submission. And when he doesn't get what he wants, he puts others down so that he can feel better about himself. And he masks his insecurity as confidence and being masculine and having standards. And this is exactly why women withdraw from men like this. Because men like this prefer to protect their fragile ego rather than building a connection with someone. He thinks that masculinity is giving women lectures on how they should behave. And he thinks that masculinity is getting control over women. And this is totally ridiculous because if you're a masculine guy, then you do not need her approval. And you do not need to shame her into submission. You would just lead without trying to force things. So never fall for this act because it's totally ridiculous, it shows insecurity and you should do better as a man. Follow for more dating tips. Here this guy tries to be alpha with women over text. He tells them that he is dominant and sexually experienced. Now this conversation is totally ridiculous, but the best part is at the end. Because when she doesn't invest or put in an effort for him, he starts to rewrite the story. He starts shaming her even more and he says, I'm no longer interested. And the point is that if you follow this text conversation, she was never interested in him to begin with. She just wanted to go along with this text conversation because she was entertained by how ridiculous this is. And this alpha behavior is what insecure men will do. And they do this because these men have massive unjustified egos and they listen to a few alpha guys on podcasts. And now because of their massive egos and because they think this is alpha, they think that it's justified to constantly lecture women on how they should behave. And that's why in this conversation, when he doesn't get compliance, he resorts to shaming. He uses cold logic and fake standards to pretend that he's the one in charge. And he isn't, because this is not masculine what he is doing, this is just total cope. It's an ego defense mechanism for the fact that he doesn't have the dating skill. Because if you're a masculine guy, then you want to be playful and funny with women in conversations. You want to create attraction and not try to force her into a kind of behavior that you want to see from her. And you wouldn't feel better or worse if she complies with you or not. So never be like this kind of man because he puts up a facade and it comes off super insecure. Follow for proper dating tips. Here this guy tries to be super alpha with women over text. He tells her that he is super dominant and sexually experienced. And then he demands her number, and when he doesn't get it straight away, he starts lecturing her on why she owes it to him. Now this behavior is a total act and it's of course totally ridiculous. But imagine if this woman would have gone on a date with him. It would have been more of this insecure posturing. She would get constant lectures lectures on how a woman should behave. He will give her a very cold logic and disguise it all as masculinity. He will act very entitled and then he will call it standards. And this has nothing to do with dominance. This is just so insecure when you're doing this as a man. Because if you are truly a confident man, then there's no need for you to posture. And there's also no need for you to give lectures to women and try to control them. If you're truly masculine, then you don't try to shame her into compliance. You would reach out to her and make her want to follow your lead. As a man, you would give off a warm and inviting energy that she would naturally want to follow. So never try to do this posturing because you're coming off insecure and women will always be turned off by it. Now, if you want to become that guy that properly gets it in dating, then follow this page.